Good good morning, year six. I hope you're well and have had a good day so far. Today, we're going to think about looking at the great work you've done so far, and we're going to try now and edit and improve the piece of work that you've done. So it's not just good, it's brilliant. Okay, we're going to basically make it as good as it possibly can be. To be successful in doing that, we're going to identify what a good piece of work looks like. So we're just going to refamiliarize ourselves with the no show. We're going to check the work we have if it's got any errors. We're going to do that thing where we clean our shoe, we get rid of the rubbish. We're going to spot what we could improve and what we could add, and then we're going to rewrite a section of our Just So story. Okay, so just to remind ourselves, a bit of recall here about what we need to include in our story. So I gave you a relatively short no-show, and Jeremiah made the point that he was hoping to add more skills in, and I think that's great. But I said 4 things of absolute minimum. So what's that first one? Who had been playing in the rain? Okay, lots of us can see that is a relative clause, sorry. And the conversation that was happening, we call it a piece of dialogue. Yep. We've got those words like huddled, moan, fat, alert, rich vocabulary, their form of verbs, lovely job. And finally, we've got fearfully and angrily, which are both examples of adverbs. Great stuff. We can also hopefully think about maybe making sure that our main character, because it's Just So story, is what? What would our main character, or what do we call a main character? A protagonist? What's it going to be? An animal. Yeah, it's an animal. Okay. Normally, those Just So stories were about an animal's physical appearance or character changing due to the fact its actions had been essentially challenged by other animals, and therefore something happened to it. Okay, that's kind of the moral of the story. So if you think about the ride, how the skin changed and how the whale's throat became different, all those animals and the hump for the camel, the changes in these animals are due to issues from from things they were doing wrong almost morally previously, and they annoyed other animals. Right, guys. The reason I've done this, I'm not getting confused about science and English. I thought what I'd try and do is make a point that sometimes, even if we've got a cheetah as our protagonist, we might want to use a different word. Sometimes, as a writer, we don't want to keep using cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. We don't keep going toad, 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 or orange fish, orange fish, orange fish. We want to try and use a synonym, and it might be that we use our science knowledge. So if you think about our science knowledge, for example, for all of these beasts, apart from the plant, we can put them as animals. Okay? So we could get the idea of lots of these we could call animals, rather than always going, the tiger did this, the tiger did this. We could say the animal or the creature. So we could use different nouns to show that rich vocabulary. If we're being a bit more specific, for example, with mammals, we could think about some of the mammals in here. And if we had a polar bear as our protagonist, we could call it a polar bear. We could call it an Arctic beast. But could we also sometimes call it a mammal? Okay, the white, the ecru coloured mammal. So we try and use that rich vocabulary in how we describe our protagonists and the events which affect and include them. Right, guys. We're having a think then about our piece of writing. Sorry about the pink boxes; they're in the wrong place at the moment. We'll see what they're for in a minute. If we're having a look then, a piece of writing, we're going to think about how our plan looks. Okay, so we look at our green plan over there. So I've got my how the dog got its sense of smell plan. Looking at that and I'm thinking about it. Did I include all the elements from my no show in my piece of writing? That's what I want to check and what I want to include as I go through. So I've got this piece of writing here. I want to get rid of the rubbish. So my piece of writing here is sitting by the edge of the emerald pond. The dog's hair was giving off a smell. Look in the still waters. The dog saw something on the top of the water. So my first job is get rid of the rubbish. There's loads of rubbish in there. What's the first bit? Thank you, Natan. No capital letter there. Second bit, I've spelled H wrong. Third bit, should be a comma. Hair belongs to the dog. I should have an apostrophe. Looking, I haven't included a preposition. I need to get rid of the rubbish. That's the first thing I need to do. They were supposed to appear rather than disappear. But you get the idea. There's some rubbish to get rid of. Now I've got rid of the rubbish. So I've got rid of that rubbish, and I've also included the waters element there. Sitting by the edge of the emerald pond, comma, the dogs with the apostrophe hair was giving off a smell. Looking across with that preposition, looking across the still waters, comma, the dog saw something on top of the water. Okay, just about makes sense now. It's not the worst piece of writing now in the world. So I've got dogs. I've got dogs. Could I improve dogs? I have a smell. Could I improve smell? This is the bit now where I'm polishing. I'm improving what I've got. I said the word dog more than once. It's not the best, is it? something. I haven't told you what's on top of the water. And this is where I try and improve. Can I use my rich vocabulary? Can I, with dog's hair, can I do something better there? Is it on top of something? Just on top of? What's it doing on top of it? I haven't said a verb there. How could I improve it? So sitting by the edge of the emerald pond, comma, the dog's hair. I don't know what colour the dog is. I don't know what appearance the dog has. I don't know what scent it's got. Was giving off a smell. Giving off a smell. I'm thinking of my spellings. Could I use a word like emitting? Could I use a better word than smell? Or could I describe the smell with an adjective? Looking across the still waters, the dog, synonym for dog, thinking to private peaceful. What was that? What was Bertha? She wasn't a dog. She was referred to as something else. Something. What was it on top of the water? Was it an animal? Was it a mammal? Or was it an insect? What was it? And what was it doing on top of the water? Right. How can I improve this? Let's see. Sitting by the edge of the emerald coloured pond, the dog's soggy hair. Ah, soggy, that's a good adjective. Soggy tells me what's going on with his hair, what's making him smell. Was giving off a powerful smell. So it's not just a little tinkle of a smell, but you can just about sniff. It's a stinker, it's a corker of a smell that makes you want to retch. Looking across the still waters, the hound. Yeah, that was it. Bertha was a hound in Private Peaceful, wasn't she? The hound noticed water boatman, not something, but water boatman, skipping on the surface. And then I can add a lovely simile in with like Olympic skaters training at an ice rink. Okay, so I've got the idea now. I'm painting more of a picture. I'm using that rich vocabulary. Some of these elements, like the use of simile and other figurative language, are not actually mentioned in my no show, but I can still do it. Right, guys, I've improved it now. I've got rid of the rubbish. Now, if I look at my section here, so I've got swan flap wings next. This is my fourth section, my resolution of my plan. Swan. So if I look here, I'll just click on it again. Swan flap wings next to dog until hound becomes irritated and realizes he's to blame. Right, guys. So this is the message that the swan gives to the dog that he's stinking, basically, and the swan's giving the message somehow by flapping his wings, and eventually it causes the dog to change. Okay, and eventually get its sense of smell, because up to then the dog hadn't realised it was sniffy. Okay, so let's see. Now I've got to clear out some rubbish. So, and then I've got to improve. I've got to clear it up. That's the two elements of this. I clean it. So I'll repeat that bit. I clean it and then I improve it. Okay, so I clean it and then I improve it. Right, guys. Okay. If he keep moaning, I will sort him out, said the swan. Great, thanks, said the pigeon. Then the swan did sort the dog out. Mr. Smith's done some writing, isn't it good? Let's try again. Okay, if you keep moaning, I will sort him out, said the swan. Great, thanks, said the pigeon. Then the swan did sort the dog out. Is it great? Or are you going to admit it's not very good at all? Because I think there's lots to improve. I think if I look here, there's something missing. If I look here, there's something missing. This is a piece of direct speech. I've missed something here. I've got another piece of direct speech. Which line should that be on, Layla? Should it be the same line, or should I go to a new speaker, new line? At the end of my direct speech, what do I need? There, I then got, so I can improve. Said. Have I got any adverbs in there? Have I got any interesting verbs? The pigeon, I don't know what colour the pigeon is. I don't know if it's a kind pigeon. At the moment, then, I've got so much I can improve about my writing, so much dialogue I can include. Have I even thought about a relative clause? So going back then, there's bits to get rid of. There's bits to have to be there. At the moment, there's no inverted commas. I need to improve that. I need to improve that. Otherwise, I'm going to be at the window. I'm going to be emitted from the classroom. From the classroom. Then I need to start thinking about how I can make it better. Those verbs, said's a really boring speech verb. Sometimes appropriate, but a lot of the time it's a weak speech verb. Let's put a stronger one in. Let's think about impressive adjectives. Let's try and use some verbs as well, rather than he'd sort the dog out. What did he do to dog? And can we include an adverb to say how he did it? Can we include a relative clause? This one, comma, what are you going to tell me about it? Okay. When you're doing that, then your first piece of writing is you to rewrite that. You've got to clean it up, you've got to improve it. Okay, you've got to do that. You've got to clean it up. You've got to improve it. Once you've done that, once you've improved it, I want to see it. That's your first job. On the page, I've given you those synonyms for those different animals. Because your first job, then, like I say, is use those synonyms to help you clean up and improve that pretty rubbish piece of writing I've done. And once you've done that, you've then got to go to your piece of writing. So pick one paragraph. I don't expect you to do it for the whole thing. Pick one paragraph and get a pen out. Get rid of the stuff that shouldn't be there. Clear it up. Okay. Full stops, capital letters, inverted commas, and then use your no show. So you see at the bottom of it, you've got your no show. Have you included all these elements? Have you got some adverbs? Have you got some lovely relative clauses? If you have, great. You include some more, or could you change the ones you've got? If you haven't, can you take that opportunity now? And then on this section, rewrite that paragraph, please. Look forward to reading those. I really do look forward to reading those really polished pieces of writing. I know you're going to deliver a really impressive, polished piece of writing because I know you're fantastic writers. Thank you for listening today, Year 6, and I'll see you all and your writing very, very soon. Bye bye.